Yes, Chef.
With Ryan.
The whole theme of today's show is hanshik, or Korean cuisine, Korean food, through our hashtag. Korea is really known for its various dishes, and there are different regions famous for different things. For instance, Jeonju, where Jeonju Hanok village is located, is famous for 콩나물 국밥, bean sprout and rice soup. That is today's ingredient, the bean sprouts, and we've got Chef Ryan joining us, the head chef of Daily K, in the studio as ever. Good morning, Ryan.
Buenos dias, Peter. ¿Cómo estás?
Buenos dias means good day or good morning?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good day.
¿Cómo estás means...
How are you?
How are you? I'm fine, thank you. Sorry, I need the translator here.
Right.
I'm terrible. That's Spanish, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, there we go.
Well
At least
done.
I knew that.
Well, ding, ding.
Yeah. I do get it confused with Portuguese, which I can't
Bom
really tell.
dia. Bom dia. Tudo bom?
I just know obrigada.
That's what women say.
Okay,
That's
good.
okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Just change the last syllable to an O.
Really?
You're
Obrigado.
good. There you go.
My uncle, he's in Portugal at the moment. He loves it there.
Lisbon? Porto?
No, he likes to stay like in places like Sesimbra, small little like beach towns, like
man, I gotta
off
go
the
someday.
beaten tourist track. But he lives there for 3 months in the winter to escape the cold in the UK, and he's been teaching me obrigada for years. So he's been walking around saying the female version for years.
That or he's just giving you a hard time, buddy.
Maybe he would tease me. He does like that. How you doing, Ryan? You okay?
I'm great, man. I had this going this morning. This is still super hot.
Oh wow! Yes.
Yeah. I had this going, and the way you do this is, it's so simple. We're talking about the soybean sprouts, which, back in the West, you often see the mung bean sprouts, and we just call them bean sprouts.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a whole lot of different kinds.
Sure.
But those are actually from the little green mung bean.
So they're different, usually, the ones you find.
Right, and we'll see those in Korea too sometimes. But the soybean sprout is the king of the sprouts in Korea.
The 콩나물.
콩나물. And when what we're talking about, what the dish that I brought today is 콩나물밥.
Okay.
So it's so simple. It's basically rice with the soybean sprouts on top.
Nice.
There are some little tricks. You're not supposed to open it once you. Have you heard this before?
No, not for. Is this especially for 콩나물?
Yes. Well, and other dishes that use 콩나물.
Oh, you're right. I've heard it for the soups.
Right.
Like 콩나물.
Right.
Yeah, you shouldn't open the lid.
Right, it'll change the smell of it. If you open the lid while cooking, and then put it back, then you'll change the smell of the 콩나물.
And sometimes it can get a bit fishy in terms of flavor. I've heard that. Is that true?
It is a real rule. I'll have to test it more and see how much. But I'm going to trust the grandmothers of Korea, and so I did not open this.
Nice.
So I'm really hoping that my rice is cooked just right.
Yeah.
Because this is a stone pot, and it's great to bring up because it stays so. I mean, this will burn. I mean, if I keep my hands on there too long, it burns.
It's amazing that this, has been around for hundreds of years. This type of dish, right? Actual pot. But these days, you'd pay lots of money to get like something with electric or stainless steel, like keeping it warm. This is the perfect thing. You heat it up and it stays really hot for ages.
The lid is so heavy. Check this sound out.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I mean, the lid is so heavy that it acts like a pressure cooker.
Sure, letting a bit of steam out every now and then.
Right.
So one question then, with the mung bean sprouts, the ones that are common in the West, what's their Korean name? Do they have...
Oh, gosh, you put me on...
They've got
I knew you were going to
Korean
ask me that, and I always forget that one.
Because I'm asking you because I've forgotten. So wait, 콩나물...
Something...
Oh, what is it? 콩나물. We'll find out. We've got a couple of song breaks anyway to do it. But they look pretty similar. How do you tell the difference then in terms of looks?
Oh, well, the soybean sprouts have the big yellow bean on the end.
The big bean.
And the other sprouts, the mung bean sprouts, they're just kind of had that little like shoot on the end. You don't see any of the bean anymore.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that's how you can distinguish. Like, I often get the mung bean sprouts, I think, in Southeast Asian restaurants a lot of the time. I see it. You can add it to your soup and things like that.
Right. With a salguksu or like a pho, then you add the those kind of sprouts.
And I don't know how different they taste. Like the bean bean bit is obviously different because there's a bean on this one and there's not on the other.
There's a pretty big difference.
Yeah,
there
in
really
the shoot
is.
part.
Yeah, I mean the other ones are the ones you often find in like egg rolls, right, back in the West.
Yeah.
These, if you put them in an egg roll, it'd be crunchier. It'd have a more nuttier flavor. There's some pretty big differences in the flavor profile.
Okay, so for bean sprouts, which you're talking about today, the king of the sprouts here in Korea, 콩나물, there are many different dishes that we can talk about.
Big time. 콩나물 국밥 is one of my favorites. Do you have that one very often?
I guess I do have it. I don't have it as 콩나물 국밥 like my wife or my mother often cooks the 콩나물 국, and then I have rice with it, and I'll mix it together.
Sure.
And then it becomes kind of the 콩나물 국밥.
Actually, yeah, I kind of wish the rice was separate at the restaurants, but they often put it in. If you ever come to visit Korea, or if you're around here, and this is such a great lunch. It's so cheap too. How much is it? It's like $4 or sometimes $3.50. And it's got an egg in there, and it's got the kim or the laver in there.
Yeah, that makes it.
Sometimes it'll have a little bit of squid in there too.
Yeah.
There's different kinds.
And you can add some chili powder to make it a bit spicier with the rice in there. Not a difficult dish to make. Well, not the way that I make it at my house. I think what my mother usually does is she's got the bean sprouts and she'll fry those in the sesame oil first and the soy sauce a little bit, and then she'll add the boiling water and then cook it up from that.
That's the trick, right?
And then she'll only really add, I think, sometimes some crushed garlic in there and maybe a few chili powder flakes, and that's pretty much all she does.
It's fast and easy, and I guess that's part of why it's so inexpensive at the restaurants.
Yeah.
There are a lot of places that advertise like $3.50. And you're full. You don't leave those places hungry.
Absolutely. And we mentioned that Jeonju Hanok Village and Jeonju as a city is famous for that dish, the 콩나물 국밥. 국밥 in general meaning the soup with the rice already in it, right? Because Busan is famous for the 돼지 국밥, right? Pork broth with the rice inside. So for this dish today, Ryan, then just talk us through it before we open it up, and fingers crossed it's turned out well.
Yeah, okay. So this one, 콩나물 밥, it's really, all it is 콩나물 on top of the rice, but you do have to make a little bit of yum yum.
Yes, otherwise it can be very plain, right? Just the rice and the bean sprouts.
Exactly. You gotta, and you make this, there's a lot of different seasoning sauces that you'll make, and this one's made a little bit saltier than the others because there is no salt in here. This is just the rice, the water, and the soybean sprouts.
So you've just washed the soybean sprouts.
Yeah, rinsed them, and they're grown in water. Yeah. So actually, if you get them and they look pretty good, you can just lightly rinse them. You don't have to worry about washing off a bunch of chemicals or anything like that. It's really healthy food. And the rice, of course, in Korea, you always wash it 3 times. And I can't just ever do plain rice. Normally, 콩나물 밥 is usually just plain white.
The white rice,
short grain Korean rice. But I've got some barley and some hyunmi and some chapsal and all kinds of other grains in there. And so I wash those 3 times. And then the real trick, of course, you got to know your cooking vessel, if it's a pressure cooker or a pot or something like this, so that you'll know how much water to add. And that really depends on what you've got. You know? And I soak the rice overnight. I think that's a lot better, especially when you use the chapsal, the glutinous rice.
Yeah, and some of the grains need to be soaked more, right?
Right. Otherwise, it won't be cooked evenly when it's ready. Hopefully this one is.
And then you just add the 콩나물 at the start of the rice cooking process as well?
On the top.
Okay.
Right on the top. And then do not open it.
Until it's all done.
And using something like this, or if you use just a regular pot with a lid, hopefully you find a pan that has a heavy bottom. It's really important that you have a thick bottom on there, because that's going to distribute the heat better. You don't want to have any parts that are burned on the bottom.
Sure.
And a thin pan just doesn't work very well for rice. If you do only have thin pans, put another pan underneath it.
Oh, okay.
And just kind of double it. That'll help do that a lot. So you want to open this?
Yes, now is the drum roll time.
It smelled so good this morning going. The smell of soybean sprouts cooking is really heartwarming.
Oh, it looks good, doesn't it? You've got to watch Video Radio right now because we've got the camera right up close to the table and the bean sprouts on top. Oh, they look fantastic, Ryan. It looks like it's done well. Let's give it a little turnover. Do you mix it or do you just do it like this?
Yes, usually. And how's my rice? Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's looking good from here. I can't. I've got a little bit of a cold today, Ryan, so let me give it a sniff.
Okay.
And there's no seasoning in there.
Smell it now.
Are you serious? It smells like there's maybe a bit of soy sauce or something there.
No.
Are they naturally like a little bit sweet? Good. Yeah, it looks lovely.
All right, so we'll just usually you just mix this all up, okay, just lightly, and then you put it into your dish, and then you can put the yum yum sauce on top.
And what is in the yum yum sauce?
Yeah, that's important, right? It's the usual ingredients, but again, a little bit heavier salt, a little bit heavier salty. So like the balance of soy to the other ingredients is a little bit higher on the soy side. So soy sauce and toasted sesame oil and Korean red pepper flakes. And of course I use honey, but you can use sugar. Some chopped onion.
There's garlic in there.
You can use scallions. Definitely garlic. There's 3 whole cloves of garlic.
I can smell that. Yeah.
And I made it the night before, so that's okay to use 3 cloves. If you're going to use it the same day, or like immediately, you might tone down the garlic a bit because.
Oh, does it kind of lose its strength over time?
Yeah, it'll kind of. Whenever I make something like tzatziki, I'll always make it the day before because the garlic can be really powerful and strong.
Sure, sometimes it can really
looking
burn.
Good, man.
It really looks good, and it
such
smells
a simple dish.
Amazing.
Yeah,
and it's so healthy, right?
The bean sprouts, man, they're really. I took them for granted when I first got here. I thought, it's just bean sprouts.
Me too.
Because the other bean sprouts, the Hmong ones, are pretty lame. There's not a whole lot of flavor.
So you prefer these 100% now?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, they have their differing uses. I mean, sometimes you want the other ones for different dishes, but can you eat all that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was the same, Brian, I must admit. I used to think these are just like a filler, They don't do anything for me.
Yeah, they were on the salad bar when I was a kid. I was like, what is that?
He's going to eat those.
Yeah.
A lot of times in the UK with the mung beans, you just toss them into a stir fry, regardless. You don't really care about how they go or how they cook or anything.
It's more about a textural thing than it is about a flavor thing, I think, with the other sprouts. Yeah. But with these... It really is a nice flavor and a nice texture. So.
Okay, so can we use this spoon to?
Yeah, that's the
sauce.
Yeah, let's read.
How much would you recommend? 1 or 2? I like things quite salty and stimulating, so I'm going to go for 2 spoons.
There you go, buddy.
Thank you.
Chocolate for you here.
Some chopsticks to eat the rice. Because there's the kongnamul as well, it's much easier with the bean sprouts to pick up rice.
Yeah,
because you can kind of wrap it around it. Oh, look at that. It looks amazing. Are there many restaurants, though, that sell kongnamul pap?
I don't think I've ever seen one.
No, it's like a real home-cooked dish, isn't it?
It is,
especially, I think, for kids as well, to give them something healthy. I don't see this often. I don't think my mum has ever cooked this kind of rice at my house. Oh, look at that. That is amazing. Okay, let's give it a try. Yeah. Oh, my God. That is heavenly. Really.
Wow,
I'm not joking.
I can see you really do like this one.
With the marinade as well.
Yeah.
It's very spicy. I think I might have put too much.
Oh, yeah. There's some choyangochu, the spicier Korean chili. There's also some toasted sesame seeds there.
But, this is almost, rather than rice with bean sprouts, I got so many bean sprouts here. It's like bean sprouts with a little bit of rice. And that's a good balance because the texture is so good. Oh, right. That is amazing. We're going to enjoy this in the first song break. Tell us how you eat bean sprouts or even the other version, which we'll find out the English name for in the song break in your country. And we'll read out your messages then. This is Highlights calling you. We are back for part 2 of Yes Chef. Ryan, I think this could be, surprisingly, my favourite Yes Chef to date in terms of the food. Look at this.
I saw the look in your eye, man. You were really enjoying that.
I was telling our writer how good it is. We're doing the bean sprouts today, and Ryan has made some home-cooked bean sprout rice, right? The kongnamul pap. Not the kukbap, just the pap.
I even got just a little bit of nurungji in the bottom here.
Oh, a little bit burnt on the bottom.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And so you put in this marinade, which is delicious. It's got a kick to it for sure with the chili peppers, the garlic.
Soy sauce, honey, toasted sesame oil, chopped up spicy green chilies, chopped up. I used daepa or like leeks, Korean leeks, but you could use scallions or green onions.
Sesame seeds.
Sesame seed, toasted sesame seeds.
Is there any oil in there as well?
Toasted sesame oil.
Okay.
And garlic.
Oh, it is so good. And so simple, right? Once you've made that sauce, which is not the simplest part, the rest of it is, well, I would say
so
easy peasy, but Ryan, cooking rice, not in a rice cooker, is kind of an art these days.
Sometimes when I tell my Korean friends that I have a rice cooker and I never use it, they're like, why?
Because these days, everyone uses a rice cooker, don't they? Could you do this in a rice cooker?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
It might not taste as like home cooked, but it would still be good because these days there are some great pressure cookers out there on the market. We've got one as well.
I think they're getting popular back in the States now. People are realizing how easy it is.
Yeah, because then you just chuck everything in, just push a button, and it does it itself. It lets out the steam when it needs to be let out and whatnot. And they've got different settings for depending on which grains you put in and things like this. Right. They can be pretty pricey as well, some of the top range ones.
Well, they are pressure cookers. They're really pretty awesome. I mean, even a pressure cooker, when you go buy a nice one, it's around $100.
Oh, really?
For a decent pressure cooker.
Oh, just the ones you put on the stove, right?
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Where you have to kind of clip it in place. I'm always a bit scared that those are going to like explode, but they're designed not to, obviously, right?
It's not going to explode. Yeah, I mean, they have a release valve on top that keeps it at a certain amount of pressure.
Yeah. Oh, this is so good, though, Ryan. I think the stone pot has added like an extra something to it, right? That's what they say.
This thing. This one I somehow inherited from somebody, and I didn't use it for the longest time because I was nervous. Oh, I'm just going to burn the rice. But then you just started using it and got used to it.
And sometimes, though, these can crack as well, and then you're really upset because...
Don't say that.
Yeah, I know. Touch wood for sure. But yeah, I'm sure that's a good quality one. That's why it's doing you well. We've got loads of messages coming in here. Annie from Singapore says, I first tried soybean sprouts when I went to a Korean restaurant for the first time. Seriously, so not even in Singapore, bean sprouts. The bean sprouts sold locally here are the mung bean sprouts and are smaller and more crunchy, in my opinion. Personally, I prefer the bigger soybean sprouts. Good.
Same here.
Yeah. Fantastic. So even in Singapore, which is not too far away, they don't commonly have the soybean sprouts. Yeah. Is it so popular in Korea? How about other countries in the region? Is soybean sprout popular in like Japan or China?
In Japan, I have to think so. Of course, because miso and just the use of the soybean in general.
Yeah.
China surely, but yeah, I think the where I've seen it the most is definitely here in Korea.
So that's the thing, isn't it? Soybean we use in so many different ways with the soybean paste. So this is just that sprout from that same ingredient.
Same one.
That's brilliant that you can get so many different flavors from this one thing, right?
You can actually grow these at home. Have you ever seen a video about that?
No. Is it not too difficult at all?
It's really not. Because it doesn't need any light, right? It's a sprout.
Oh, brilliant! So it just shoots up anywhere.
Soak them and let them sit in a cool, dark place and cover them up, and out they come.
And you just put them in what, like cotton wool with water? Do they need soil?
I'm pretty sure you can just do water.
Really?
First, and then you got to check them. And
like watercress or something like that. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It'll be nice to do that with the kids.
Might be a fun project with the kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
We could pretend like it's hair of something, like draw a face on the container. Siska says, bean sprouts. Good morning, Ryan. Happy Tuesday. I love them. We here have many dishes with bean sprouts. It's toge here, and we can add toge in almost any kind of soup or stir fry. For stir fries, it can go well with pretty much anything. Some bean sprouts in there, right?
Oh, absolutely. I love that textural contrast because in a stir fry, you'll have you can have so much in there going on. Mm-hmm. Like little crunchy bits of celery or crunchy bits of the soybean sprouts. Yeah,
with whatever meat or even a vegetarian version. Siska's mentioned stir-fried toge or bean sprouts with tofu is really good as well. Yeah, I really need some textural contrast with tofu. I need something crunchy with it. If it's just the tofu, it's just too much. Too much like, and you put some chili slices in there too. That sounds nice, doesn't it? Also veggie salad, it can go in there, and also with noodles. Oh, you'll see these. Is it these ones in the Japanese ramen as well that you'll often see?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I just remembered last night I went to a really authentic Chinese restaurant. And there were loads of soybean sprouts.
Oh, nice.
In both of the dishes that we had.
Oh, what dishes were they?
One was like a braised fish.
I've seen it like on
fish.
top, right?
Yeah, they're underneath and on top. And then the other one was kind of like nejiangtang, but China. It was beef tripe.
Wow.
Beef like stomach.
Is it very different to Korean style?
It was mega spicy. Like these are some of the spiciest meals I've ever had.
Like the hua.
Szechuan style. Yeah.
You've had that like kind of shabu, the Chinese style. Is it hua?
Yeah, or hot pot, I guess.
Yeah, hot pot. Yeah. And one of those soups is always super spicy, right? Knocks your head off.
But these are even hotter than that. It was, but definitely had a lot of soybean sprouts in there.
Nice. So a common ingredient there as well. And Siska has also been kind enough to send us some pictures of the soybean sprout dishes. All look delicious. Will from Canada says, Happy New Year, Chef Ryan, by the way.
Happy New Year.
Better late than never. Question. I went to the local Korean store and other Asian stores, and I was amazed by the amount of soy sauce. That's also from soybeans, right?
Right.
The hint is in the name. What is a good rule of thumb to use when picking out a soy sauce? Is it the brand, or do you need to buy a couple of different ones? Is it better to go for the most expensive? Are the flavored soy sauces any good? And what is the best kind of rice to use? Short versus long, and the type? Wow, lots of questions there.
No, it's cool. There are different types of soy sauce. So,
there's the gukganjang, right?
Right.
For soups.
Yeah, there's dark and there's medium, and then there's even some light ones too.
Yeah.
And if you have the chance to find one that's maybe chemical free or organic, those are always going to have I'm not saying that just because it's better for the environment. They actually taste a lot better.
Okay.
Because they're made in smaller batches. It's quite amazing. If you can't find those, then what I really suggest, they're not super expensive. You can get a few different kinds, and you'll see how they're different, and just test them out. That's what I do. I just buy a bunch of different kinds. I'll ask some friends, oh, what about this one? What about this one? And try different ones, and then I use those for different applications. Okay.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the rice, Korean rice is short grain rice.
Okay. The sticky stuff, right?
Right. It works so well for risotto, by the way. And then again, if you can find an organic or a chemical free, then you don't have to wash it so much. And that's kind of nice if you want to have all that starch. If you're making like a juk, like a Korean porridge, or if you're making a risotto, that's great. If you just get regular Korean rice, it's awesome. Just wash it 3 times and then throw it in a pressure cooker or something like this. And that's how, if you soak it overnight and then you cook it with a little bit of pressure on it, that's how you get the texture that Koreans really love with their rice.
Oh.
If you just do it in a pot, the way like I grew up doing it, a heavy bottom pot with a regular lid on it, it doesn't seem to get that little kind of pop texture to it,
which is essential for the really good rice, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize how important the texture of rice was until living in Asia for so long. But yeah, try that out. And if you have a pressure cooker or one of these Korean rice cookers are pretty amazing, or something with a heavy lid like this, that'll help you out. And then also soaking the rice for a good 3 hours or overnight in the fridge, that also helps too to get the texture right.
And sometimes people say don't throw away the water you wash the rice with. You can like wash your hair or wash your face in it. It's meant to be good for your skin.
Yeah,
right?
There's that. There's also you use that if you make things like jjongukjang. You'll often use that water to start your soup.
Oh, it's like a base liquid in there.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's one of Jion's favourite dishes. She talked about it for today's hashtag, Hanshik, the Cheonggukjang.
She really likes that one.
Are you a fan?
I am. I like it so much that I took some back to the States and I freaked some people out.
I can imagine. We were talking about the smell and the texture as well and things like that.
It's strong, but it's really good. It's just, I mean, if you're, I don't know, somehow it revitalizes you. I don't know exactly how to describe it.
It does. It gives you a boost somehow.
Yeah, it really
when
does.
you eat it, you'll know that feeling.
Lots of protein for sure.
Will goes on to say, as for sprouts, I picked up a kit years ago that you can grow different types of sprouts at home, and it works so great. Thank you, Chef
that's
Ryan.
cool.
It's an awesome show again. Thank you for your message, Will. Roz from the US says, I'm late, but I'm here now. I love bean sprouts. In Filipino dishes, we use bean sprouts in lumpia, a type of thin wrapper fried egg roll. Oh, with the egg rolls. Oh, it tastes great.
Yeah, they use a lot of
right?
mung beans in the Philippines, and in the beans themselves and the sprouts. That's really cool.
Delicious. Are there any other bean sprout dishes from Korea that we want to mention before we wrap it up?
Jim.
Like an agujim or something.
Agujim, himojim. The jim dishes, we talked about it. It's been a while. I think maybe it was this time last year, actually. These are usually seafood dishes, and there's a mountain of bean sprouts.
Yes.
And kind of a sweet, spicy, a little bit sour sauce that goes over that. And it's really nice. You've got usually this soft texture fish, and then you got the contrast of the little crunch to the bean sprouts.
Yeah, the monkfish, the agujim for me is the best. That is so good. And sometimes you go to restaurants where there's too many bean sprouts to fish ratio.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
All right. Tofu.
Yeah, don't like it.
Texture doesn't work. But agui, monkfish, the jelly, you even like the jelly pieces?
No, I don't like the jelly pieces so much. That's a bit weird for me. I get weirded out.
Well, then I'll go eat it with you anytime, because that jelly's the best part.
We can share.
The first time that I went and had that, I didn't think you were supposed to chew that jelly off of the fin.
Yeah, I don't think
And
you
I
are.
got shouted at.
For not
Because
doing
I
it.
threw it into the bucket,
Wow.
and somebody was like, what have you done? That was the best piece.
I do that, so you
I
can
learned
be
the
my
lesson
bucket.
the hard way.
Fantastic. All right, that's been all about bean sprouts. When we come up after the song break, we're going to do what's in your fridge, so let us know what's there. You can check this video out on YouTube in the coming days. If you're watching on YouTube, then tune in to #DailyK from 9 a.m. KST every single day for your daily dose of Korean culture. Here's the Dick Punks and Chun Ji Yoon with Soulmate. We're back for part 3 of Yes Chef with Ryan in the studio. We were talking all about bean sprouts today. Delicious. I've got to admit, I was getting a bit fed up of bean sprouts because I'd only ever have it in the soup, the kongnamul guk. But this kongnamul bap has changed my mind, changed my life, I think. As you said in the song break there, this is such a cheap way to feed a family.
It is, yeah.
Just the bean sprouts. What's a pack of bean sprouts cost here?
This is a bag like this big, right? For 80 cents.
Wow.
Yeah.
And rice, I mean, it's pricier than it used to be, but still, it's affordable. And then the marinade ingredients, the sauce ingredients.
Yeah, nothing.
I can see why restaurants don't charge much for this, because they still make a profit if they're selling it for 3,500 won.
You put some stock on the top of that, and some kim, and maybe a little squid, and yeah, I mean, you can feed a lot of folks.
Then it's the soup dish, isn't it? Okay, we got a couple of what's in your fridge. Where do you want to start, Ryan?
Let's see, we've got Audrey here, and Audrey has a really nice fridge. It looks like there's duck breast.
Audrey always gets up so early because she's listening from France, I believe.
Right.
She'll post up her message. She did send a follow-up message adding one more ingredient to that list. Wait, go through that, Ryan, and I'll find the other one.
She's got duck breast, some kopa, some cured meat, some bok choy, some watercress, sweet peppers, fennel bulb. I love fennel bulb. Do you ever have that?
No.
It's hard to find in Korea, but I just recently found a Korean grower.
Oh, really? Nice.
Basil, thyme, rosemary, probably all fresh, I'm imagining. Fresh ginger and bunches of spices, lime, bananas, pears, pasta, fresh pasta, eggs, some mozzarella, some Parmesan Reggiano, and some camembert. Let's see, milk, single cream, butter, dark chocolate, white chocolate, almonds, and pistachios.
Such a French fridge with all that cream and
Lovely.
milk and cheeses.
Lovely.
And she added sweet potatoes as well, which we talked about recently.
Nice. First off, if you take the fennel bulb, it's kind of got a licorice flavor.
You mentioned that before.
So
right?
folks in Southeast Asia are really familiar with star anise. that flavor of star anise is in this vegetable.
Oh, wow.
This fennel bulb, and it's in the fronds too, but the fronds are usually just used for stock. This fennel seeds from the flowers that come off those fronds are amazing and used in like Italian sausage or as like a candy after dinner thing in India.
Wow.
You know, have you ever seen the sugar and the little seeds at the Indian restaurant on your way out the door?
No.
Those are fennel seeds.
What kind of flavor is it? Like a spicy
licorice.
Kind of thing? Oh, licorice. The
Licorice,
seeds
not
as
spicy.
well. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So for those who don't know fennel bulb, it has a licorice flavor, kind of like star anise, or black jelly beans, if you know those too.
Oh, there you go.
That when you slice it really, really thin. Okay, just the bulb itself. Slice it really thin, and you can put it with apples. You've got pears here, though. If you put it with the pears, and then I like to use a little bit of onion as well, and then get a little bit of vinegar on there, a little bit of honey, and plenty of salt to pull the moisture out of those vegetables together. You end up with this amazing fresh salad.
Wow.
I love doing it. It's kind of a little bit sour, but then the sweetness and the natural sweetness from the pears can come out. And that fennel bulb is just a nice crunch and brightness from that licorice flavor.
Oh.
So that's one thing you could do. And if you did that, see, that's kind of bright and light. And duck breast is really rich, right? Duck, unlike chicken, it's all dark meat, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sure, Audrey, you already know what's up with duck breast. But for those who don't know, you can take a duck breast and you can like half cure it. I love to do this.
Oh.
So you take sugar and salt and you 1-to-1 and you pack that duck breast in the sugar and salt and just leave it outside the fridge for maybe 30 minutes, an hour. Okay. Then wash all that off.
Yeah.
Okay. You could do it a little bit longer too, but an hour is long enough.
Yeah.
Wash all that off really well. Okay, and you'll see that the flesh side of the duck breast has gotten a little bit shiny, and then the fat side is just kind of like tensed up a little bit on the surface. Now it's really well seasoned, and you can drop it into a hot pan, fat side down. There's so much beautiful fat.
It just comes out,
and
right?
it's so good for you. It's better for you than butter, duck fat.
Yeah.
For your body to process. It's not a bad fat.
I've heard that in Korea.
And you put that fat side down with no oil, no butter, because that's going to start rendering off fat immediately in a hot pan, and just let it sear right there. Maybe turn the heat down on your pan a little bit after it's seared for a second. Flip it over to the other side. Crank your heat back up. Let it get a good sear there. Take your heat back down again. You're going to end up doing about 4 or 5 minutes on each side.
Yeah.
And you'll have like a really nice medium rare duck breast,
It's
which
okay
is safe.
to be a bit medium rare.
Yes, absolutely. With the duck breast. Now with the leg and thigh meat, you don't want to do that. But with the breast, it's totally fine. Like you often see duck l'orange, and it'll be pretty much rare.
In the middle,
Yeah.
And that's fine, with the breast. And that would go well with the fennel that you talked about earlier.
Amazingly well, because you got this nice richness. You could also put together a little bit more of a sauce. You could totally use the rosemary and the thyme in the searing. You could use the fresh basil in the fennel salad too. That's using quite a bit of what you've got here, and I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
I want the fat side when it gets like really crispy on the outside. That is so good, isn't it? We also got a message here from Roz in the US saying, the only thing I see that you could help me with in my fridge is I picked up a beef tenderloin, the whole thing, already trimmed, and I've set aside 3-pound portions as a roast or something. I'm not sure exactly how I should prepare it because it has so much potential and my tastes of it have been divine. The sky's the limit. So any ideas with a 3-pound portion of tenderloin trim would be much appreciated. I have almost anything you need spice-wise. What would you do, Chef Ryan?
Well, there's a lot. You know, what my students are always asking for is Wellington.
Oh, really? They like that in the pastry
They
kind of thing.
love it. They love it. See, puff pastry dough is not very much fun to make. You have to fold in all that butter and fold it in and fold it in and fold it in, and it doesn't always come out perfect. But I know in the States you have access to frozen puff pastry dough.
Yes, in the supermarkets, right?
Yeah, it's so easy. So if you wanted to do a Wellington, it's not very difficult actually. I love to take those trimmed pieces of tenderloin, and I will season them with salt and pepper, sear them on all sides, and then just rub them down with whole grain mustard. You can do other things too, like chestnuts. You can just kind of chop up a chestnut and just kind of toss it in a pan.
Okay.
You can add mushrooms in there too. But the whole grain mustard kind of acts as a glue.
Ooh.
You get that on there. Then wrap it in cellophane, throw it in the fridge, let all that kind of set together.
Yeah.
And then take it back out. Then roll it in your puff pastry dough.
Oh. And then put it in the oven.
Pop it in the oven. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't ever had a beef Wellington.
You've never had one? But
Yeah.
you're from...
I know. I see it on the menu all the time, and I'm like, nah.
It is so incredibly gratifying when you cut into it and you've got the perfect medium rare.
Oh, yeah.
Because
if it's overcooked,
when
I'd
you're
hate
cooking
it.
a steak, you can always touch it. You know, when you're doing the Wellington, you got to know your oven. You got to know how much you've seared it,
All right,
and then you're
that's on my
chilling it
bucket
back
list.
down. You're chilling it back down in the fridge. So then it's a consistent temperature. You just got to get used to it. But.
All right. That's what I'm going to have before the month is out. That's my New Year's resolution. Ryan, thank you for coming in today.
My
we'll see
pleasure,
you
man.
next Tuesday. That's the best kongnamul ever.
That's my lunch and dinner. I think.
Lovely jubbly. We'll see you next week. Pak Yuna now, day by day. Haru에 하나씩.